What is up, you guys? Welcome back to our class. This is your Pharmacy Informatics, and for our topic for today, we'll be having the evaluation of medical literature. And for the discussions of our class, we will be having the following. Number one would be the rationale for evaluating medical literature. Second discussion would be pharmacists engage in multiple resources. The third discussion is your peer review process. Next is the basic elements of a scientific article. The basic elements would be our last topic for this class. Okay, so before we proceed to our first learning outcome, palakpakan nyo naman si Flower dyan. Okay, so for our first learning outcome or our first discussion, we have here Zelda dancing because we'll be having the rationale for evaluating a medical literature. The rationale behind evaluating medical literature is first to know its relevance. Relevance meaning is the topic connected or related to your query or question. Okay, so we need to check on the medical literature if it is related to our topic or our research, or again your query, the question. Next is effectiveness. Is the medical literature effective in giving a successful result? Yung babasahin mo bang medical literature, does it contain a successful result? Wow. Okay? Next is dependability. When we say dependability naman, is the medical literature helpful to us? Like, paano siya magiging helpful sa atin? Pwedeng yung gumawa ng literature is may expertise yung gumawa ng literature niya. From that, it will create a trustworthiness. So those are the reasons why we need to evaluate your medical literature. So before we proceed to our next discussion, I want you to know what's the meaning of your medical literature. Again, a medical literature is a scientific literature of medicine, articles in journals, and texts in books devoted to the field of medicine, like pharmacy, nursing, dentistry, and other allied health sciences. And when we say literature evaluation, this is the process of reading and evaluating medical literature and scientific study in a systematic way to reach at a conclusion that one can interpret himself whether, number one, the study results are scientifically proven, and second is it applicable to clinical practice. Next, we will be having the pharmacists engage in multiple resources. So, a pharmacist should be updated on current advances of searching drug information. So, again, we should be updated on what are the most current and most updated methods in searching drug information. Another one is that pharmacists should be efficient in evaluation, analysis, and synthesis of drug information for us to communicate effectively with our patient or customer. So, communicating with your patient or your customer effectively, you need to clarify information. Again, meron yung mga common people, hindi nila alam yung mga medical terms natin, kaya ginagamitan natin sila ng layman's term. Another big role of your pharmacist is in decision making. So guys, in decision making, marami kasi or majority of our healthcare practitioner nagko-consult sila sa mga pharmacists. Again, kasi nga tayo yung drug experts. Another one is that sa hospital, meron tayong tinatawag na hospital formulary from which, sige, magiging reading assignment nyo kung anong hospital formulary. So yung pharmacist, sila yung nag-help mag-decide kung anong specific drug ang idadagdag natin sa hospital formulary na yun. Again, hospital formulary would be your reading assignment. Okay, so let us now proceed to our next discussion. Our next discussion is about the peer review process steps. How many steps do we have? We have 4 steps. Again, 4 steps. Ano po ba yung peer review process? Peer review is the evaluation of scientific, academic, or professional work by others working in the same field. So when we say peer review, ito yung thesis defense nyo. Okay? As much as possible, dapat yung mga professional na nag-evaluate nung scientific or academic work natin ay related sa field na yun. So let's proceed to our step number 1. Step number 1 involves an extensive time of research wherein there is the submission of research proposal of the journal. Yung proposal natin, sinasubmit natin. The submission is done by the author and sinasubmit po ito sa editorial staff. Next step naman, our step number 2, which is the screening of research proposal by the editor, which involves proper assessment of writing the research proposal. And for our step number 3, ano kaya yung step number 3 natin? Step number 3 is the peer review of potential publication. So, the research proposal defense na ito. Ito na yung, dedepensahan nyo na yung research proposal nyo. So, on step 3, there is now the discussion of strength and limitation of the study. So, there will be recommendation, either accepted yung proposal nyo or resubmission kasi may kailangan kayong i-adjust. And yung pinakaayaw natin is rejection. And finally, for our last step, we have the step 4, which involves the submission of peer reviewers, comments, and suggestions. So on this specific step, we will be having revision or resubmission of our research proposal. Then pag approved na, pwede na po siyang i-publish. Now, let's talk about the advantage of the peer review process. The advantage of your peer review process is that it reduces poor publication of articles that are poorly written. So, bago pa siya ma-publish, guys, magandang ma-review siya ng mabuti ng ating mga experts or yung tinatawag nating mga panelists natin. Para ma-avoid natin yung mga like mamaya iba pala yung nagamit nating research design, hindi pala siya yung proper para sa research natin. Kuha? Siyempre, pag may advantage, meron ding disadvantage. One disadvantage of your peer review process is that, isa lang naman, it's very time-consuming. Time-consuming siya. Pero at least, sure na maganda yung mapapublish nating proposal. Mapapublish nating, hindi na siya proposal actually, mapapublish nating research natin. Okay, so we're down to our last topic, which is the basic elements of a research paper. Alam ko nagkakamot na kayo. Kagaya ni Kuyang Black Guy dyan, ni Black Stick Guy, nagkakamot na rin ng ulo. Madali lang naman yung basic elements natin. We'll be using the 9 pool balls to determine what are the basic elements of a research paper. Again, research paper or scientific paper, they are the same. Okay? Or your research proposal or your research journal. So let's now proceed to our basic elements of a research paper. Again, we will be using your 9 pool balls to determine what are these specific elements. So let us now proceed to our first element. The first element is called your title. Ano nga ba ang title? The title describes the subject of the study. So, kung ano bang meron sa study na yan. Now, let's go to our next element. The second element is called your abstract. Your abstract contains condensed summary of your research. So, in order siya, guys. What specific order? First would be the background and purpose of the study. Second would be the methodology. And third would be the results and discussion of your study. So, that is your second element, abstract. So, let's proceed to our next element, which is called the introduction. Your introduction involves the background of the study, which answers the question what the study was all about. It also contains the objectives and significance of the study, which answers the question why it was done. Again, your introduction develops interest from the readers and provides them enough info to understand the study. So that's it for our third element. So let's now proceed to our next element, which is called your methodology. Your methodology includes the research design. It's either experimental or non-experimental. It also includes the laboratory procedure, so what are the materials to be used and the methods of your experiment. Next would be your measuring devices, and last is the methods of analysis or statistical test that you will be using. Okay, so that's our fourth element. Meron pa tayong 5 element. Let's now proceed to our fifth element, which is called your results. Sa results naman guys, dito we are going to present the findings. Kung ano ba yung natuklasan natin sa ating research. The next will be given are the tables, graphs, and datas. And also the statistical results are given. Usually the results are in a summarized form. Now we will be having our sixth element, which is called your discussions. So ano bang meron sa discussions? On discussions, there is now the interpretation of the findings. So what does the data mean? Dito natin ni-interpret or dito natin nilalagay. There is also the compare and contrast. So pwede na natin siyang i-compare to other studies. And there would be the discussion of the strength and limitation of our study. And last is the implication of finding. Ano ba yung importance nung finding natin? Or yung significance nung findings natin? And that's it for your sixth element. Let's now proceed to our seventh element, which is called the conclusion. Sa conclusion naman, we are going to give our clear statement or the answer based on our finding or based on the results of our study. For our second to the last element, which is our eighth element, it is now called your acknowledgement. Ano bang nilalagay sa acknowledgement? This would be the contributors to our study, the assistants that helped us to finalize our study, and pwede rin lagyan ng funding agency. And for our last element, ano kaya yung last element natin? Your last element is now called your reference bibliography. So, as we go on to our Pharmacy Informatics, tuturuan ko rin kayo kung paano magsulat ng references natin, kung paano yung proper na pagsulat ng reference natin. For reference bibliography, this would include the publications used on your studies. Ano pa? References and joke lang, wala na. That's it. Make sure that your reference should be of relevance with your study. Hindi tayo maglalagay ng reference na walang kinalaman po sa ating study. Nakuha? Okay. So, announcement for your response, kung anong response type, is ibibigay ko na lang sa ating group chat. And that's the end of our discussion. Thank you and see you on our next class.